By the way, guys. So, with the, new season starting like this, your scouting of other teams, how much change do you expect from what you saw from the Browns last year? Is there a lot of special teams changes with them?
The thing is, we played them in 2021, so, it was, you go back and you look at that game, obviously, you look at it hard. We didn't have any punts in that game, so weren't able to really look at that stuff. So you had to go back and look at what they did in the preseason, what they did during the regular season. But not a lot's changed. They got a lot of the same personnel. Most importantly, they got their same coach back. Mike Prefer does a great job. Those guys are well coached, and we're expecting a heck of a battle.
Dave, you gave high praise to Mike Hughes as a punt returner.
Yeah.
Is that spot going to be his for Sunday? Is there going to be a difference between him and McCole? How does that sort of
I'm not going to say exactly who's going to be back there right now, but I'm happy with both of those guys, and the good thing is we have a lot of guys we can go to, and he's one of them. He's certainly one of them.
Dave, it seems like the roster Final 53 helps out special teams quite a bit. We look at guys like Kemp and Landon. Were you pretty pleased with the
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I mean, those guys every year, Veach and Andy, and they do a great job. Considering special teams and knowing how important it is, and making sure that we have enough guys on our end of it. I was very happy the way it worked out this year. They're all good football players, offense and defense. So, I think as a whole, we're a better football team because of the roster they put together.
You guys were without Dorian for a bunch of games last year. Just how critical is it to have him fully healthy?
Yeah, I mean, a healthy Dorian helps us on special teams. Dorian's, obviously one of our key, players for special teams, and having him on the field is important. We did miss him a bunch last year. Other guys had to fill in for him, so it's good to have him healthy and start the year off with him out there on the field.
Hey, Coach, Harrison Butker nailed that 64-yarder to get y'all Labor Day weekend off.
Yeah.
Coming into this year, is it realistic to say his range could be up to 70 yards?
In the right conditions, yeah, he could. I mean, if in the pregame, if there was a strong wind behind us, I mean, he could certainly hit a 70-yarder. That kick that he made in practice wasn't under hard rush. There was a lot of situation, but we did have a little bit of wind behind us, and he probably would have made it from 68 if you looked at it. How far it went. So, a 70 yards is not out of the question for him. In the right conditions, he can do it. But we're not going to throw him back there in those, a lot of situations like that, just because of the field position. If you miss a field goal like that, the field position that you're giving up is so much that you have to really consider that. But at the end of a half, with a couple seconds left in the game or in the half, and you get out there and you might want to try something like that if the situation was right.
When he first got here, he was still a young guy, obviously. Did you see him realistically developing this kind of range? When you first got him?
We knew he had a strong leg. We saw that. And then when we first got him, he was really hitting the ball really high. He had a really high trajectory. We knew if we could lower his trajectory a little bit, that his power would be even better, and that's really what he's developed over the time. So he's definitely got one of the strongest legs in the league for sure.
Do you talk to, when a guy's going good, do you talk to him, or do you just stay away from him because you don't want to mess with, just keep going?
Yeah, I always say I'm a manager. I'm a manager. I'm gonna making sure that they don't kick too much, making sure Tommy doesn't punt too much. Let them do their thing. They got their own little world now that and I kind of stay back from it. I step in when I need to, but I'm more of a manager with those guys than I am an actual every down coach, so to speak, or a kicking coach, like a golf coach or a golf swing coach, So it's a little different for me.
How do you think the whole idea of the snap and the hold and all that stuff, the group of three working together, they haven't done it as long as the group you had before. How's that come along? 100% confident in all of that part?
100% confident, having all those guys together again, and they talk about this stuff all the time, and they're always working. I mean, they'll work an entire practice on the operation and different ins and outs and what we're going to call this, what we're going to call that. And, every once in a while they let me in on what they're doing, so that's the way it goes. So, but they're, I'm very confident in those guys and what they do, for sure.
You were talking about, the field position after like a missed long field goal.
It seems like analytics has greatly changed in the conversation about whether you kick, punt, field goal, whatever it may be, or you go for it on fourth down. From your perspective as a special team coordinator, how has that affected your job as far as how you prepare the guys for those situations and for the decisions about whether you kick or go for it?
It depends on who you're playing, you know, it depends on how your offense is doing, it depends on how your defense is playing, you know, is it a field position game, you know, is it a game where we just need to pin somebody down there on punt, and, you know, instead of, you know, kicking a field goal. I mean, it all depends. There's so many factors that go into it. Analytics will say one thing, but the weather could say another, you know, I mean, there's just so many aspects to it, but we use analytics as, just a tool. It's just a tool, but it's not the end all, you know, it's not the thing that we're gonna, you know, Mike Frazier's our guy. He's up there in the box, and he's always telling us, you know, different things, giving us advice as far as what the analytics say. And then you have to take that information, and then you have to, you know, input it to what you're getting in the game, weather-wise, and what team you're playing, and how your offense is moving the ball, how your defense is stopping them.
Is there any
Those
area
things.
where you feel like analytics has maybe changed your decision-making, your thought process
Uh,
over the years?
No, not for me.